James Hands here from Awaken Therapy, and I want you to know that healing is always possible. It's never necessarily easy, but it's always possible, and that's because it's love that heals, and love is what you are at your core. And so whenever we access that deeper core self, whenever we get to the truer depths of self, healing always happens. It's always possible. There's nothing love won't heal. And so it's never too late, we're never too old, and even the difficulties, the trauma, whatever it might be that we're working on, that we're struggling with, that we're trying to dig our way through, is never too much, because higher frequency will always shift a lower frequency, a high vibration, and love is going right up there. We're talking about ever increasing purity or perfection, if you like, of love. And so when we can access a higher vibration, it will always transmute the lower vibration. So a lower vibration, now we get stuck into the psychology of trauma. If you think of trauma as stuck energy, so some life experience that's been too difficult to process, too difficult to face or understand, we've just been overwhelmed, what that leads to is a stuckness in the body, in the heart, in the mind. So think of it as maybe old emotions that were too intense, too difficult, too painful to feel, to process, to finish with. And so those energies, those chemicals get stored in the body, and so that's a stuckness there that will cast a shadow. Stuck objects cast shadows, as we know, and so shadow work is really about clearing the stuck energy or object that's casting the shadow. We're not working on the shadow per se, we're working on what creates the shadow. And so if you think of it as stuck energy, it's like a lower vibration. And if we go right down in the scale, we're getting down into more fear-based, lower vibrating energies. If you go to David Hawkins' work, where they tested up all these different emotions, you've got enlightenment, unconditional love, joy, gratitude, right up in these high numbers, like 1,000, 700, 600. And gradually you come down into something like anger, which is 150, fear, I think it was about 100. You keep going down, right down the bottom you've got guilt, shame, measured at 20. And so that's a really interesting way to think of what we're dealing with. Our wounding, our baggage, our issues is essentially lower vibrating energy that's there within our mind, within our emotions, within our body. Actually, it has a physical component. And so the stuck energies there, well, they can be there for a long time. They can be there for a lifetime, they could be there for maybe many lifetimes, they could be there for 1,000 years. And as soon as we bring a higher vibration energy into that, into the dark, and that's why shadow work requires us to go into the dark. We've got to venture down into the cavern, into the depths, to face something. We can't heal it from a distance. But as soon as we bring that higher frequency into the lower energies, there is that shift. There is always a transmutation. Light always dissolves the dark. I've yet to find a room or a space of darkness that didn't shift as soon as I turned the light on or shone a torch in there. There's no dark that just sort of sits there intractable and won't budge. It dissolves. The dark goes away. In the same way, love always transmutes fear. There's no fear that won't shift when we bring love into it. Now, of course, we have to be open to that love or that higher vibration, that higher energy. We have to be open, of course. We have to be ready, willing, able to go there in terms of opening up that endarkened part of us to have the exposure. It can't work from a distance in the abstract. There has to be that joining. But as soon as we do that through whatever process, there is that shift, there is that healing. And so there's nothing that won't heal. Healing's always possible because of these basic principles. So the questions here, I'm sure there's lots of questions. You're welcome to share them in the comments or get in touch. Lots of questions here. But the key questions are we open to something better coming in? Often shame, guilt will keep us locked down, really shut down, because we feel too unworthy, too bad, too wrong, too whatever, to deserve it. So that can keep those shadow parts of us very hidden and stuck. Fear can do the same, rage can do the same, just general grief. We're going into the realm here too of PTSD or complex PTSD, where these parts of us are just so difficult, they've been so suppressed, so blocked and so buried, that of course there might be a lot of work before we're ready to open the lid, open the door, allow something better to come in. And a lot of therapy is really just this slow and steady work of sharing our stories, starting to trust, starting to be brave enough to open that up. And for that, we've got to be ready, and ideally we have someone we trust and like to support us in that process. We really need that. But as soon as we expose these darkened parts of us to the light, it starts to shift. And that's because ultimately what we are is not the dark. That's not what we are. I mean, a lot of people believe they're the dark, and a lot of people actively pursue the dark. I mean, if we want to really get stuck in that, we actively might be feeding the dark and going down that dark perpetrator path. But eventually the soul will tire of that. Eventually guilt will come into the soul, and there'll be a readiness to consider things differently, to open up differently. And when that happens, it allows better to come in. It allows some of this love that we are to come in. And because that's what we are, that's what we were created as, that's what we will continue to be. We are as God created us. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Thank you, Course in Miracles. We are as God created us. We are as perfect love created us. We are as Source created us. And spiritually, we are an eternal soul, an eternal spiritual being, having a human experience, a temporary passing little adventure in this sack of bones. We call that an incarnation. And so when we connect to what we are beyond the body, brain, personality, when we reconnect to what we are beyond time and space, we're accessing the soul that's evolving and yet so much more connected to light and love, and we're connecting to the essence of our soul, which is the spirit, and that's that spark of the divine. That's how I like to use the language there. And so you are that spark of the divine, a unique portion of the divine, a unique fractal of that infinite oneness. And that spirit of you exists within this eternal soul that's growing and evolving and learning in the spiritual worlds, and also when you incarnate. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're probably incarnated, you're in a physical body having a human life, and so but that's still you. You're a spirit, an eternal soul, having this human experience. And if you could think of it actually in the reverse, the spirit is the infinite, all that is. The soul is like a portion of that. And our incarnation, me as James, you as whoever you are, is like just a little portion of that soul energy come down into a body. But what we are remains. We are that spirit. And so whenever there's an openness, and healing might start with just a willingness to tell our story, and then it might venture into deeper therapy where we're doing different process work to bring light into these dark places and shake it up and mix it up and bring love and support to the inner child, and bring in a team of protectors to change a situation, especially with childhood abuse situations. And so when we do this work, eventually what it allows for is that higher consciousness of you, supported by someone else perhaps, to shine into those dark places. That's where the healing happens. It's the transmutation of the stuck energy that we call healing. Eventually, we heal completely. I'm not quite there yet, but every step, every layer that we shift, every portion of fear, guilt, rage, or confusion, or misunderstanding, whatever it is that we process, creates a bit more space. There's a bit more room, there's a bit more stillness, and into that space, the light of the soul can come in. And when that energy comes in, there it is. It feels lighter. That's a word clients often use for me. Oh, I just feel a bit lighter, or there's a bit more space. I call it range of movement. We feel this increase in the range of movement. So this is the healing process. Is it always possible? Yes, because there's nothing that love won't heal. Is it ever too late? No, of course not. Because what you are is that eternal soul. And that's always there. That's the beating heart of your being that cannot be destroyed, never goes away. So take hope, take heart, continue with the work, seek help as you need. Have a look at my website, that free Soul Warrior Journey program with a guided hypnotherapy and a workbook, some stuff there that's available for free for you, a resource you can use. I just wish you all the best on your healing journey. Never give up, never stop trying, and always have hope, because the truth of what you are can never be destroyed.